Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to finish up our look at the Warlock miniseries from 1982, reprinting the classic Jim Starlin run on the character from the mid-70s. This is number 5 and number 6, and this is part 3 of our look, and it's also the last part, because this finishes up all of Jim Starlin's early work on the character. Let's get started. Warlock number 5 once again starts with a wraparound cover, newly created for this edition. Pretty nice stuff. And we start off with the second half of Warlock number 15. That was the last issue of the 1970s series. Once again, it's written and penciled by Jim Starlin and inked by Steve Leialoha. If I'm not mistaken, I think this cover is, this splash page is newly drawn for this edition. Kind of like a transitional page. So Warlock finds himself on this drifting dead world. He just wanted to be alone with his thoughts. And he's agonizing over his past and his future even. Here we see him. He's like an overwrought teenager. He's like, so what do I do now? He needs a purpose in life. And all of a sudden, he hears this voice say, perhaps you should try looking past yourself. And it's this wise old creature. And he's kind of like a crazed hermit. But he's not. He's actually very wise. And Warlock says, what is the purpose I exist to fulfill? And this guy says, life is its own purpose. And then he kind of talks some like pseudo-philosophy about how we're all part of the all of, the universe. And isn't that purpose enough just to exist as part of everything? And Warlock, like a petulant teenager, says, no, I want more. Look how angry he is. And this creature predicts Warlock's future. He says, you shall die alone, killed by both Thanos and your own hands. But even before then, you'll watch Gamora, Pip, and many others you care for pass from this life. That is your destiny, Adam Warlock. And he says, look beyond your own body, look to the spirit. And then the guy disappears. So now we cut away to Pip the Troll. And he's on this planet called Degenera, which sounds like a perfect place for Pip to hang out. And he's got a huge bag of stolen, pickpocketed treasure. And this constable comes up, Constable Trueheart. And he says, crime has really increased since you moved to town. I'm curious if you know anything about this. And he's like, do I have the face of a crook? I have no idea what you're talking about. And then as he slinks away, he even pickpockets this constable. And when the constable figures out what's going on, I guess he even took his belt buckle so he can't chase him because his pants fall down. A little bit of lighthearted humor in between all of this, Warlock's and ennui. So Warlock finds this Earth-like planet, and he basically once again decides to take the soul gem out and basically have a talk with it. He knows it's very risky, and the soul gem, of course, is just saying, I'm sick of being shackled to you. You won't let me have all the souls I want. You and your morality. And basically he tries to take over Warlock. He says from now on, I'm going to be the one in charge. I'm going to suck all the souls I want. You'll just be my vessel to to walk around in. But Warlock fights him off and basically threatens to kill himself. He says, I'll still have the wherewithal to kill myself, and then you'll be fucked. And so it's basically like a game of chicken, and the gemstone, the soul gem, backs down and says, okay, you win. I guess I need you. Warlock went to this uninhabited planet just for that purpose, so the soul gem couldn't hitch a ride on someone else. Soul gem would have been stuck on this planet forever, with no souls to consume. And I think Jim Starlin knew this was the last issue, because he says this kind of like last powerful speech. And we have this cool money shot of Warlock. And at the end he says, that is why, good or bad, I shall always be Adam Warlock. So it's just like a little ending to the series. And but it's not the end of the character. A few years later, in an issue of Marvel Team Up, number 55, I believe, Warlock was the guest star, along with Spider-Man, of course, because that's the Marvel Team Up's Rosin de Tra, with Spider-Man teaming up with someone every month. This one's called Spider on the Moon. Written by Bill Mantlo, pencils by John Byrne, and inks by Dave Hunt, which is very unfortunate. Dave Hunt was one of the crappiest inkers in the 70s. He just, like, this is when John Byrne was at his height. John Byrne was fucking kicking ass at this time. This is probably like 77 maybe. And Dave Hunt would do this with every penciler. He just would make them so bland. He was just really a boring inker. So this starts in medias res. I guess in the last issue, Spider-Man teamed up with the Hulk and Wood God, one of the weirdest characters from the 70s, created by Bill Mantlo. And somehow Spider-Man ended up in this rocket ship that was heading to space. And I guess it didn't even have proper life support, because Spider-Man is like passing out from lack of oxygen. Also, the G-force is kind of like crushing him. We see the Hulk watch the rocket ship carry Bugman, and he just leaps away. He's like, who cares? And then Wood God pretty much does the same thing. I kind of want to read this issue because both Hulk and Wood God speak in a really almost you could say like mentally retarded style. Like Wood God says, Bug Eyes is gone, claimed by Scream. Scream takes all who are good to Wood God. Kind of like how the Hulk talks. So I kind of would love to read the dialogue between these two. It would be really nice like to read like a Waiting for Godot-like play of just Hulk and Wood God talking about stuff for an hour and a half. Okay, back to Spider-Man. He looks like he's dying. He's basically, the oxygen's down at 0. And all of a sudden, though, he sees this bright light, and it's Warlock. If you remember, Warlock, whenever he's in the Milky Way galaxy, he's huge, and he's a material because of the expanding space theory. He expanded at a different rate than the Milky Way because he was far away in another galaxy. And I guess he starts shrinking and becoming more material. Warlock surmises that because of all of his travels, he's kind of equalized his, size, I guess. So he takes Spider-Man to the closest place that has oxygen, and he takes him to the blue area of the moon, which we know about from the Inhumans. That's where they used to live. And he drops the spaceship down, and he meets Spider-Man. And all of a sudden, the Stranger pops up. He's one of those cosmic beings in the Marvel cosmology he's almost up there with Galactus. He's almost like a god. And he's there because he wants Adam Warlock's soul gem. I guess he's been collecting all 6 of them. So there's this I think is one of the earliest instances of mentioning the 6 infinity gems. Maybe it was turned to 7 later on. I can't remember. But basically, if you own all the infinity gems or stones, you're like a god. You're omnipotent. So the stranger has 1 already, and now he wants warlocks. And so Spider-Man's helping Warlock fight this guy. Let me see. I think I missed something here. Oh, yeah. It looks like he incinerates Warlock. So Spider-Man tries to fight him. It's just, it's just dumb bravery. Like, he knows he can't really stop this guy. But he does anyway because he's Spider-Man. And so the stranger whips him away. And it seems that this tree, the limbs of this tree, reach up and grab Spider-Man so he doesn't die. And when Spider-Man wakes up... Oh, sorry. I jumped the gun there. We're back to the stranger and Warlock. So Warlock wasn't incinerated. He was just knocked out for a second. And so he's fighting the stranger. Their soul gems are basically clashing. And it just makes this huge explosion. The 2 soul gems, colliding. And Warlock is tossed to the planet's surface, unconscious. And now we go back to Spider-Man waking up. And there's this guy here, the gardener. And he's another one of those like cosmic beings who's almost like a god. He tells him that he grew all this foliage and flora on the blue surface of the moon. So now we cut back to the stranger. He's got Warlock in these, I don't know, whatever the hell that is, some kind of shackles, restraints. And Spider-Man sees this going on, and he's going to do a brave last stand. He knows he doesn't have a chance, but, he's a hero. He's got to try. And then all of a sudden, the vegetation starts attacking the stranger. The planet itself starts attacking him. And while he's distracted, Spider-Man frees Warlock. These Dave Hunt inks are pissing me off. Just because I love Byrne at this era. John Byrne is such a fun, superior artist back in the late 70s. And this is just really watered down. So the gardener, turns out he has a soul gem himself. Him and Warlock combine the power of their 2 soul gems to destroy the stranger. Well, they don't destroy him. They teleport him somewhere. Because the stranger's going to appear again in the Marvel Universe at some point. And then the gardener, he takes out his soul gem. And he feels now it has been corrupted. The fact that he used it for combat. Basically, the gardener is like a big hippie. And so the gardener says, I must go to other greener worlds. Because his whole garden was kind of decimated by the stranger. And this is like so out of character. The Warlock cries. Because he's like, what a peaceful, great being he was. And then Warlock agrees to take Spider-Man back to Earth. So now, guys, we have some of the best comics published by Marvel in the late 70s. I remember my brother had these 2 comics. And let me show you the covers now. It was these 2 covers right here. Avengers Annual number 7, Marvel 2-in-1 Annual number 2. Now, it's kind of weird back then. There was no graphic novels. But Jim Starlin wanted to tell this epic story. And he wasn't the regular writer or artist on either the Avengers or Marvel 2-in-1. So they just gave him 2 annuals to tell this huge story. Basically the finale of the Adam Warlock saga. But of course, he's bringing in all these other characters. And so this is just a true epic. I remember when what was I, like 10, 11, 12 when these came out? My brother bought them. I was just like, these are the best superhero comics of all time. They'll never be matched. They're so, at the time, they were fucking rad. And so this is Avengers Annual number 7, The Final Threat. Pencils and writing by Jim Starlin and inks by Joe Rubinstein. That's going to make a huge difference. Joe Rubinstein just lays down some amazing inks in this and really makes Jim Starlin's artwork shine. So now Warlock is on this other planet, and he knows that Thanos was there. Thanos destroyed the whole planet. And he finds Gamora dying. And he says, you served him so faithfully. Why? And Gamora found out about his plan of stellar genocide and tried to stop him. And Gamora's last wish is that Warlock stop Thanos. And so Warlock sucks her soul into a soul gem. And then look at him here, looking crazed. And he kind of sounds like a madman. He sounds like some guy on the street corner, some crazy ranting dude. For I am the savior, the God Slayer, the demon, the avenging hand of light, Adam Warlock. And so then he thrusts himself into space. Now we cut away to Earth, and we're at Avengers Mansion. And the Avengers are hanging out, and there's a sense of foreboding. Iron Man is looking out the window at this thunderstorm brooding. And, they're basically just a little banter between the Avengers. Look at that. It's the matriarch's face. Once again, Jim Starlin pulls out that one realistic face he could draw and put it on Scarlet Witch. That's weird. God, look at how great this is, superhero art. I wish Jim Starlin and Joe Rubinstein drew the Avengers for like 5 years. The Avengers would have been way better. And so Captain Marvel and Moondragon show up. And Moondragon used to be in the Avengers. She has really ties to Titan, where Thanos, was born. And so basically Moondragon and Captain Marvel had strong premonitions that their powers would be needed. They're not quite sure why. And we cut away to a spacecraft near a star. We could tell that it's Thanos' spacecraft, the Sanctuary. And a beam flashes into the sun and makes it explode. It's kind of a weird image. It looks like something from Dr. Solar, the Atom, the original 60s comic series. And Moondragon senses this. She's got like telepathic powers. And she, knows that millions of people just died. And right then, Adam Warlock shows up and he fills them in on what's going on. And now we have a huge recap of stuff. But some of this stuff I don't think was in the Warlocks that we just read. I mean, he talks about where Thanos comes from. But then he talks about how Thanos basically fell in love with death, the personification of death. And I guess there was this Captain Marvel story where Thanos collected a massive armed force of interplanetary malcontents. And using mysticism, bionics, and willpower, he gave himself powers that he's almost invincible. But then on top of that, he got the cosmic cube, which in the Marvel universe, that's like, it could turn you into a god. Anything you dream of becomes reality if you hold it. So I guess he fought the Avengers and Captain Marvel. This was probably I think the mid-70s. And they left Thanos drifting in space, robbed of his godhood. But his space ark retrieved him and revived him. And that's when he discovered about the 6 soul gems. And he went about obtaining all of them. He stole the strangers. He found some of them just in weird remote places. And he found the one that the gardener left on the moon from the Marvel team-up issue. So basically all he needs is Warlock's gem. That's why he was hanging out with Warlock the whole time, being his ally. So the reason why was Thanos was basically siphoning off the energy of Warlock's gem the whole time. And he made this giant synthetic gem, which basically has the power of all the 6 gems. And Gamora found out about it, and he slew her. So he tells him that Thanos plans on blowing up every star in the universe. So he's not just a star thief, he's a star destroyer. Now we see Pip the Troll. And Pip the Troll is comes to Sanctuary. He thinks that, as far as he knows, Thanos is an ally. So he figures, I've been kind of lonely. Maybe Warlock and Gamora hanging out with Thanos. My old buddies are here. And then Thanos shows up and basically says, fills him in, I'm not your ally. And the only reason I didn't kill you is because my whole plot, but now you're fair game. Now we cut away. This governmental, NASA type organization calls up the Avengers and informing them that a huge armada of spacecraft is heading towards Earth. I like these nice Joe Rubinstein inks. Joe Rubinstein was really good in the late 70s. He did one of the best inkers on Michael Golden. He just inked a lot of good stuff. Look at this Iron Man. God, these are such good superhero comics. It's like everything you want. We have a lot of time showing all the thoughts of these Avengers and Moondragon and Captain Marvel, thinking about what's going to happen and just little character moments. And a lot of the Avengers are like, we're probably going to die. I mean, we've never faced anything this massive. But, of course, we're going to try to stop them. So we see Thor and Iron Man lead the attack on the Space Armada. Look at this fun shit. This is everything you want when you're 12 years old. And then they all land on, I think this is on Sanctuary. And they're all basically going to invade Sanctuary. And it continues next issue. So they split up this Avengers Annual. Here we have a newly commissioned Jim Starlin drawing of Pip the Troll. And that's it for that issue. Now we got number 6. Another wraparound issue. Look at that. To some superhero antics at their finest. Actually, it's not, because this is 1982 Jim Starlin. Not as good as 1977 Jim Starlin. Or 78, whatever it is. And so we continue the battle. The Avengers are just basically fighting thousands of random aliens. Jim Starlin has a good time, it looks like, drawing all these random aliens. Looks like this guy's a refugee from Wizard of Oz. He's a flying monkey. This alligator with a helmet on. Kind of silly. Giant worm guy. Same creative team, of course, as last time. And this is just lots of fun fight shit. And, of course, the Beast has got to make some jokes while he's fighting. Look at this guy. He's like a little, almost like that guy who used to hang out with Space Ranger, Zort or something. I can't remember his name, but he's like a half pig, half alien. And the Avengers are doing pretty good. They're holding their own against all these weird aliens. And then all of a sudden, Captain Marvel's like, what happened to Adam Warlock? And he busts down this door, and Adam has found Pip the Troll. Basically, Thanos wiped his mind, so he's as good as dead. He's basically dead. He's brain dead. And Adam Warlock sucks him into his soul gem as well. So Warlock says, let's go find Thanos. And they fly off looking for Thanos. And they see the devastation left by Thanos' sun zapper, or whatever the hell it's called. So they finally find Thanos, and Captain Marvel flies right into his sun zapper. It knocks him unconscious, but it destroys it. Thanos says, no biggie, I'll just put the soul gem on another projector. That's what he calls it. The solar projector. But then Warlock slugs him. And they start a big fight. And this is kind of weird. I had to read this like twice. It just looks like Thanos is slapping Warlock around. And then all of a sudden, Warlock dies. He just falls over, keels over dead. Or not, almost dead, I should say. So then Thanos is like, okay, all I got to do is put this synthetic soul gem on a new projector and continue my work. But then Iron Man and Thor show up. And we get to see Thor and Thanos go at it. He's probably the only Avenger who stands a chance against Thanos. And then Iron Man destroys the synthetic soul gem. And Thanos is like, no! You destroyed my one chance to regain my love. I forgot to mention that recap of the Captain Marvel Avengers story. Because Thanos failed, he lost Death's favor. And Death basically said, whatever, I'm out of here. So this whole thing is to try to win Death back. And so Thanos teleports away. And now we cut back. Captain Marvel is woken up from his unconsciousness. And now he wakes up to see the scene from like years ago. Remember in Warlock when Warlock after defeating the Magus, he jumped to the future and found himself dying? So it's the same exact dialogue. And I was too lazy to actually look at the comic. But I wonder if these are just the panels repasted onto this grid. I don't know. I think he drew them again. And we see Warlock kill his future self, the dying Warlock. Iron Man and Thor show up. They're like, what the hell's going on? And Captain Marvel's like, I don't know. I don't know either. It's kind of crazy, this whole time travel business. So then basically, I'm sorry, I guess what happened is both Warlocks ceased to exist. And all of a sudden, Warlock wakes up. And he's all green. And he looks over and there's Gamora and there's Pip. So he's inside the soul gem. He basically sucked himself inside the soul gem. And it appears to be this heavenly world where all enmity is left behind, all ego. And even the guys that he sucked into his soul gem who were his enemies are there. And they're all waving at Warlock. Like, hey, buddy, you made it. And the two Avengers and Captain Marvel look down at Warlock's dead body. And so now this is going to continue into Marvel 2-in-1 Annual number 2. Warlock figures out that Adam Warlock is at peace for the first time in his long and tortured life. But we're not done by a long shot. Now we have Death Watch. Once again, same creative team. So Peter Parker's in his bed. He's having nightmares about basically what we just read. Another way for Jim Starlin to do one of his beloved recaps. And we see basically it's like a 3-page recap. We see It's a lot. So I guess Moondragon contacted, sent her thoughts out, and due to Peter's spider sense, he heard her plea. And then now it's the present. And I guess now that Thanos has joined his minions, the tide of battle has turned against the Avengers. And they're all falling. They've all fallen. He even blasts Thor out of space, and Iron Man and Captain Marvel, the heavy hitters. So he's got them all in these stasis fields, almost like trophies. And they find Adam Warlock, and Thanos wrests the gem from his brow. And now he figures, with this gem, I at least have the power to blow, the Earth's son, Saul, to blow it up. Perhaps that will be enough to appease death. So Peter Parker wakes up on Earth and realizes that, it wasn't just a dream. He's got to get to outer space somehow and help. And now we're introduced to Order and Chaos, who are kind of the narrators of the story. They're almost like the Greek chorus who comment on the action. These guys, I think, were created earlier. But maybe Jim Starlin created them. They seem trippy enough that Jim Starlin might have created them. But they were in like a bunch of comics. They're like, these cosmic entities, almost like gods. And they're just talking about commenting on the action. Spider-Man figures the only guy he knows with access to a spaceship is probably someone in the Fantastic Four. So he sneaks into the Baxter building. This is a kind of funny moment. The Thing is reading Stephen King's Salem's Lot. He's totally into it and all scared, smoking a cigar. And Spider-Man scares him so much that he sucks the cigar and swallows it. So he's all pissed at Spider-Man, but then Spider-Man says, dude, shut up. Shut the fuck up. This is really important. He tells him the story. Luckily, Reed Richards has a new spaceship that he wanted Ben Grimm to test out. And they fly off into space. And they make it to Sanctuary. And as soon as they bust in, Thanos' soldiers attack him. We get to see some wicked fun action. This stuff's great. If you guys have seen any of the MCU Avengers movies, like the Infinity Gauntlet or whatever it's called, there's a lot taken from this. So Thanos releases the gravity in this room. So everyone's just floating around. That's a great panel right there. I love that. Most of these panels are pretty damn great. And, since they can't get a footing, neither of these guys have like zappy powers. They're quickly subdued by the soldiers. Now we cut away to inside the Soul Gem. And it just looks like Warlock and his pals are living in blissful peace. It's basically heaven. Probably the first time Warlock smiled in, 5 years. So now Thing and Spider-Man wake up next to the Avengers in stasis. And basically reiterates his plan, as supervillains are wont to do. And he talks about his love for death and how he wants to woo her back. And Thing says, man, you are one sick puppy. And he tries to clobber Thanos, but Thanos is way too strong. So Spider-Man says, I'm leaving. There's no way I could fight you. I don't belong here. And he hightails it out of there. And it's kind of interesting because it's not really a plot or anything. Spider-Man really is just like, oh man, I don't have a chance. I'm kind of scared. He's actually scared. And he knows he's probably a dead man anyway, because, I mean, there's thousands, millions of these guys all trying to kill him as he's trying to escape. But then he gets a hold of himself. And he says, man, that was some kind of blind panic that just happened. That's never really happened to me before. But that's how scary Thanos is. I mean, Spider-Man's a brave motherfucker, but Thanos is a god, practically. So Spider-Man comes back, waiting for his moment, and he realizes that maybe if he breaks the stasis machine, he can free the Avengers. And there's no heavy object to throw at it, so he just dives into it. He uses his own body. Oh man, I love these panels. Look how well drawn these eyes are. That's a lot Joe Rubinstein right there. And the Avengers wake up and they attack Thanos again. And we get another really fun brawl here. All of Thanos' soldiers are there too. It's just total mayhem. Look at this. This is fun. This is what I want to see in a superhero comic. Just fun action panels of all the characters. I really like this page. I remember, it's so weird reading this comic now. Like, I read this comic probably 25 times in it. The first 6 months my brother had it. I just reread it over and over. So almost every page resonates with me so strongly. I have a shit memory. But, man, this stuff is just coming back to me so hard. I remember loving this page then, and I love it now. Just this no panels, no panel borders. Just a shot-by-shot fight choreography. Even Thor and Thing, though, can't bring down Thanos. He's too strong. So Spider-Man was dazed by his jump into that stasis machine. He still is. And he makes his way out. And then he realizes that he'll have to destroy the soul gem. And now we cut away to inside the soul gem. Warlock, his head is pounding. He's in pain. He feels himself being pulled back to reality for one last mission of vengeance. I should mention, too, it's Petra Goldberg on colors. I don't know if she... Yeah, I guess she did the colors in 1982 as well. And they really add to it. I mean, that's what makes it look like so much fun. This comic, it's just like perfect superhero art. You know, colors, inks, pencils. Even though Jim Starlin doesn't draw a good Spider-Man. Sometimes the face is off. So Spider-Man, he's fighting his way through all these bad guys. And he knocks the soul gem off this little pedestal it's on. And this releases Adam Warlock. He's like a flaming angel of vengeance. And Thanos is shocked. He says, I saw you die. I killed you. And he says, I can't rest until you're not a threat to the universe anymore. And he grabs Thanos with his flaming hands. And he disappears. And Thanos is left as the statue. So the Avengers round up all the bad guys. They all kind of surrender. They basically just say, you guys can go. We can't jail you. Like, you couldn't bring these guys to Earth to jail them. They would just cause havoc. And then they have a funeral for Warlock, Gamora, and Pip. And Captain Marvel does the eulogy. And we see his gravestone. And Spider-Man is really sad that Warlock is gone, even though he barely knew him. And the Thing consoles him. And he says, I'd rather think that whatever it was that ended here tonight sort of started a new and better beginning somewhere else. And I like this, how he, the caption says, a new and better beginning somewhere else. It's the soul gem. And Warlock's back and basically just says, I guess I'm just going to have to get used to living here in paradise. So it's a happy ending for Adam Warlock and his friends. But not so for Thanos. And it says, he is destined to... I'm sorry, this, by the way, these are the voices of order and chaos talking to each other. Thanos is destined to spend infinity trapped within the petrified form of his own corruption, lamenting the waste he has made of his days, and weeping for a love unfulfilled. And we see a little tear come from his stony eyes. But, man, when I was 12, that hit me hard. I was like, wow, I kind of feel bad for Thanos. This is nice. Retroactively, they give us all the covers, except for the Marvel team-up. So here's Warlock 10 through 15 and the 2 annuals. Even though they're small, it's better than nothing. And that's it, guys, for the Jim Starlin Warlock saga. At least for now. He comes back to Warlock in the 90s. And I don't think it's worth looking at. Maybe it is. I doubt it, though. So I hope you guys enjoyed looking at these with me. I had a great time walking down memory lane. And really fun shit. I really like these. So hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.